Hello and welcome to another episode of the GCC podcast powered by Gateway, where we bring you the voices shaping the future of global capability centers in India and beyond. Today, we are honored to be joined by Deepak Visveswarya, a global tech leader with over 30 years of experience building and scaling high impact engineering teams and global in house centers. Currently, he's the SVP and MD at Pegasystems India. Deepak brings deep insights on innovation, digital transformation, and leadership across borders. Pegasystems, as we all know, is a global leader in AI powered decisioning and workflow automation, helping the world's leading brands solve complex business challenges and enhance customer engagement. It's great to have you with us, Deepak. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you so much, Suchita. It's wonderful to be here.
Thanks, Deepak. How does it feel to be here? Like you said, excited?
It is exciting, right? Every opportunity to be able to connect with the community is always pleasing, right? I think that's what actually also makes our ecosystem really vibrant.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Deepak. So I'll just jump into the questions. You've led platform engineering for some of the world's most transformative tech companies. And with India emerging as a product engineering powerhouse, how do you see GCCs evolving from traditional support centers to innovation hubs in industries like enterprise software and digital platforms?
Yeah, that's I think, great question to start off with. One that I, should say, fortunately, I've had a front row seat, in the last couple of decades for that matter. There was a time when GCCs in India were mostly seen as support centers at point in time. And if you said you worked in a GCC, most people really assumed you were kind of doing maintenance or you were
Back end
doing
stuff.
back end
Yeah.
tasks or what have you. And then that today, I think that landscape has changed. And I think it's changed dramatically. GCCs are really no longer just, do what you're told kind of an outfit, right? They have become innovation engines. You walk into a GCC now, especially in enterprise tech, and then you will see actually AI, ML labs. You will see real time, problem monitoring, setups or systems for that matter. Someone running a hackathon and a sprint retrospective at the same time in parallel, what have you. All of those things happening, right? I personally feel one of the biggest drivers for transformation is the talent. Indian engineers today aren't just about building code or just about building software. They're actually thinking deeper. They're asking, why are we building this? Who is the customer? How can we make this scalable, secure? How can it be smarter? What have you, right? More so in the platform space, where no longer just consuming tools, but it's we are actually consuming more ecosystems for that matter. We are building essentially foundational pieces, APIs, reusable services, generative AI capabilities that kind of power global products as such. The work that is being done here in India is shaping essentially what gets launched globally. At Pega, for example, our India Center plays a huge role in driving platform capabilities in terms of platform innovation, from AI decisioning to generative AI powered application development for that matter, right? So that's not back office, it's really frontline product leadership, as
Cutting
I
edge.
call it, right?
Yes.
So culturally, that shift has been huge, I think.
Yes, thank you, Deepak. You spoke about talent, you spoke about leadership, you spoke about the entrepreneurial, spirit in India that's so infectious. I think from one GCC to another,
Yeah.
everyone's doing some cutting edge work here. And talking more about talent, leadership, etc., takes me to the next question, which is really around org design. And you, like having built large scale engineering teams from scratch, what are the key ingredients you consider while structuring, functional excellence in a GCC, especially when trying to mirror the innovation DNA of global headquarters? You did speak about with the headquarters working in sync with them. So while tailoring especially to the Indian talent ecosystem, how does that go side by side?
Great question. I always talk about it in terms of building a team in a GCC is like making a good South Indian filter coffee. I'm a little bit of a picky person in terms of how that coffee is done, right? I mean, you need the right blend, you need the right pressure, you need the right patience to kind of let things percolate, right?
Yes.
That's really kind of how I think about in terms of building a high performing team. A few ingredients that I always try to focus on. Right? Firstly, I think it's the clarity of charter. You can't drive excellence if the team doesn't know what success looks like, right? Whether it's platform engineering, whether it is AI innovation or customer delivery or anything else that we do typically, within GCCs, you need to define the why and not just the what, right?
Okay.
Especially in a GCC where you want teams to be doing more than execution, you want them to be more than execution norms. They need to really own outcomes. I think the business outcome, owning that, I think is what matters. Second, I would say you need to build the right org structure for collaboration, not for control.
Yeah.
Build more flat cross-functional squads that can work closely with global counterparts to enable that learning and innovation in a way. Third, in my mind, is very important, hiring and nurturing talent that can thrive in ambiguity. I think ambiguity is one of the key things that we face today. In India, we have brilliant technical minds, but the real differentiator is when you find people who can combine that deep expertise that they have with curiosity, with really able storytelling, with understanding stakeholders, that stakeholder empathy. And fourth, I would say invest in culture as much as you invest in your code or invest in your product for that matter, right?
Yeah.
It's not always easy in a culture where hierarchy can sometimes kind of hold people back. But, when you actively encourage in terms of bold thinking and your ability to ask questions, having open forums and what have you, then it will show up, right? And lastly, treating headquarters as always as the source of innovation probably is not the best thing. Some of the best ideas I've actually seen, in GCCs
On
actually
ground,
come
yeah.
from people who are actually closest to the problem. That's kind of how I look at it, from a GCC perspective.
Deepak, I've loved all the 5 points you spoke. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And moving on, just putting on a strategic lens, with your global experience and the exposure to diverse cultures. We spoke about cultures. We spoke about getting close to the problem.
Right.
How do you envision the role of India-based GCCs in shaping the future of global digital transformation, and not just as contributors, but as co-creators of strategy, sustainability, next-gen platforms?
Yeah.
And it's like, let's talk more about being the lighthouse.
Exactly. I think you brought back the right term, right? I was
Yes.
just going to, yeah, it's exactly that lighthouse concept or mindset, if you will. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, I think that shift is already happening.
Happening,
You
yeah.
will actually see that GCCs are, not just seen as an engine room where work gets done quietly and efficiently. Now, actually, you can say we are actually building the engine, we are running the engine, we are helping design the vehicle, what have you, to that end, right? So I think the GCCs, in my opinion, are actually evolving into what I refer to as global brains, not just from a local perspective, right?
Yes.
And we are talking about strategy, we are talking about shaping customer experiences, we're talking about driving platform thinking, right? When I say platform thinking, especially in enterprise technology, it's kind of where you see the ecosystem, where you see the scale, where you see reliability, and the innovation. All of this go hand in hand. And when you think of platform, you have to think of a broader ecosystem. Think in terms of, let's say, what Apple has been able to do in creating such a platform with a fantastic ecosystem, right? We are seeing this clearly in areas like, for example, AI, ML, or sustainability, or platform engineering, which have been pretty close to over the years, where India-based teams are not just contributing, but they're actually also leading. Right, they're bringing in a systems and a growth mindset that is required, a strong understanding of user context, which is highly required to be able to understand how is it going to be used, whatever you develop, how is it going to be used, right? And the agility needed to adapt quickly to that kind of change. take sustainability for example, right? Teams here are not, it's not just about being able to execute green code, but they are in a way embedding carbon conscious thinking or footprint into the product design itself. Right? On the AI front, for example, we are actually building guardrails for responsible innovation. And this is done for the global consumption, right? And then what makes India ecosystem kind of uniquely positioned is it's kind of the blend. There is a blend of technical depth. There is aspect of entrepreneurial spirit and a desire for learning. So to be honest, I don't see India GCCs as just a part of the digital transformation story. I actually see them more as co-authors of the next chapter that is being written, which is which is unfolding as we speak in the next few years.
Wow, that's lovely. That's a great response, and uh, we know you so well professionally about what you're doing in the area of work. I want to move to the next section, which is more to know you as a person, and the interesting things probably people don't know about you. I have three questions to ask you.
Sure,
Are you ready?
sure.
So, what's that one thing that travel has taught you that probably the boardroom never could?
um, well, what actually, yeah, travel becomes a part of our GCC
Yes.
leadership, for that matter. So what travel has actually taught me is that it is an uncompromisable part of
Okay. So, you spoke about filter coffee, and like any
the
true South Indian, I'm sure you enjoy your filter coffee too. I want to know how many glasses or cups of filter coffee gets you going in the day, weekday.
Typically a couple. I mean, while I like the coffee, I try not to have it too many times. During the day, I typically, try to get a couple of, coffees that keep me going most of the time.
Okay, great. So, I've been speaking to a lot of GCC leaders, and they're leading large teams here and have been in the business for years. Everyone's so humble, so out there wanting to share insights. And I felt the same talking to you. So I want to know, what is that one habit that keeps you grounded as a leader?
Well, um, I think it is the ecosystem that we have. I
Okay.
relate it to the ecosystem that we have. I don't think there is any other place in the world where the GCC ecosystem is phenomenal. It allows us to actually connect with each other and learn from each other. And I've seen so many other GCC leaders who are, my, peers across the industry, and we get together. And so you actually, you can relate to a lot of things that's going on in the ecosystem, and we look to be able to actually even partner. That kind of brings you that humility to say, okay, you're not the only person who is doing great things here, right?
To co-share, co-learn, and cross-engage with the ecosystem.
Yeah,
That's great. Every leader flourish.
agree.
So yes,
Yeah.
that's lovely, and thank you so much. It was great to speak to you.
It was a pleasure, Suchita. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on here, and I wish you all of your viewers a great day ahead.
Thank you.